The Own Your Intuitive podcast is for the creatives, spiritual entrepreneurs, and light workers in the world. The shining ones who have been told to dim their light and stop believing in magic. I say screw that. The time to rise is now. To bring your gifts out into the world in a big way, creating a business that feeds your soul and your bank account. You are a magical being with the potential to change the world, one human at a time. The time for you to own your intuitive is now. Hey everybody, I have a very special treat for you today. As soon as I met this human, I knew immediately that there was something special and that I could not wait to support and help guide and go on this journey with him in every way possible. He is one of the most highly skilled and crafted artists that I've ever met. He is taking the world by storm. He is mixing things up. You are definitely a disruptor, sir. So I'm so excited to have Adam Parsons on the podcast today. Hello, Adam. How are you?
Hi, how are you? My gosh, check is in the mail. Thank you for that opener. Jeez. Okay, got a lot to live up to here. Let's bring it.
Well, I think that there was something, because I don't plan these intros, but when I'm talking to you and I'm sitting with you here from a different perspective from the interviewer, I'm like, no, you are a disruptor in a way in all fields in which you do things.
Yeah, I do. I love to challenge people to, I challenge people with my art, but I like to challenge them with themselves too. And typically, since it's from a visual standpoint, it's in their brand. I love to disrupt people and make them rethink things a little bit.
I love that. So people are like, what? He's a what? Can you can you explain to people who Adam Parsons is right now?
Yeah, in fact, I actually think I've never told you this story, so it'll just take a couple of minutes. But I was in Japan, I was teaching English and art, and then I came to America in 1999, and I knew nothing about computers, knew nothing about design or anything like that. I was a children's book illustrator, and I was a painter, and I had no money. And so I couldn't afford to get everything put onto frames and things like that. So a friend of mine said to me, hey, why don't you use my laptop and you can build a website in something called Dreamweaver? And I was like, okay, not a problem. So I built this website, I took some photographs with my camera. I had a very, very cheap camera from Japan. It was like a 2 megapixel camera. And I built this website, and it would only run on that laptop because I made it all wrong. So I go to this guy who I wanted to buy one of my pieces of art, and he said to me, hey, I like your website. Will you build me a website? So I became Adam, the web designer, even though I knew nothing about what I was doing. So then I go to this one creative agency with my website abilities, and I said to them, hey, I would love to come and work at this graphic design firm. Here's my pictures. And the lady said to me, I was actually a telemarketer at the time. I was getting paid $24,000 a year. And the lady said to me, well, I love your work, meaning my illustration. She said, how much do you want to earn? I said, anywhere between $35,000 and $45,000 a year. And so I was like, okay. And then she said, yeah, this stuff is, oh gosh, I'm so sorry. And then she said, okay, I muted it. Then she said, I want to earn, she said, this is beautiful work. How much do you want to earn? I said, anywhere between 45 and 55 a year. Thinking she was going to say, I thought you just said 35 to 45. And she said, so you want 55? And I said, well, that would be great. So overnight, I went from $24,000 to $55,000 a year. And she had one client in Augusta, Georgia, this tiny little company called Frigidaire.
Just a tiny little company.
So now I'm working, she said to me things like, can you do a clipping path? And I was like, absolutely, going on to Google, what is a clipping path? Finding out what these things are on the job. And she has tiny little clients like Best Buy, tiny little clients like all these different people. So anyway, I have the picture that you see behind me. Oh, for goodness sake, go away. So I have these picture behind me. I'm sorry, it's all connected to my computer. So
it's all good. It's all good.
So basically, I have this picture behind me called the Times of Rhymes, and I left my job, and the marketing director of Frigidaire said, hey, can I take this to one of my friends who works for Enesco, which is a big giftware company? And so we went up to Illinois, showed it to them, and we actually ended up taking over all of their business. So now, so we brought all of their advertising down to Augusta, Georgia. So now I'm working with Precious Moments, Cherished Teddies, Disney, Nickelodeon, all under this giftware company. All this guy that knows nothing about
I was
design.
gonna say, no, I didn't. I don't think that was 1999.
That was 2003.
So when, but you did your little website for yourself was in 1999, and then within four
In
years,
2000,
you were
yeah, in
working.
2000.
So
And
within
so I was basically just winging it, and I was really good at doing PowerPoint presentations, and I still am. That's actually one of my superpowers, that along with Photoshop. And so we took over all of the business of this company, and then it just grew out from there. So from there, I went to an educational software company, and they asked me how much I wanted to earn, and I threw out this ridiculous number, and they gave it to me. And everything was learned on the job. I'm addicted to learning. So I would get the manuals for Photoshop, the manuals for InDesign, and I would just like plow through them. I don't like reading books, but I love reading manuals. And
interesting.
oh my gosh, I can just absorb them so much. And that's why I'm doing it with video right now. So then I was working with, all these educational software companies. So for example, I was working with the state of Florida was one of my clients. It was just crazy, like how this thing grew up. And over the 20 years, I just got really good at understanding not just design, but personalized design, particularly things with like speakers and individuals, because I love chasing after the passion rather than just chasing after the brand. So for example, if somebody says to me, I want to build a presentation, my first question is, well, why? Tell me who the audience is. Who's it going to? What reaction are you getting from that? Are you going to be putting up a presentation, or are you looking to just read off it? Like, tell me all the purposes of what you're doing with the brand. And I just got really, really good at it. And that's why my art fell by the wayside, because I got, basically people will pay me to look out for their brand. They don't, my art is my passion. I'm not willing to compromise that area. So, did I answer that question?
Well, it does tell us who you are and what you do. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good.
So right now, you said you love working with speakers, and, from what I know of you, like, and we've talked about this, like the visionary, the person who sees the world as like bettering it in some way, or creating a massive shift or change in the lives of others with their work. Like, that's what fires you up.
Yes, people purchase passion, and I do too. So if I can see that you're passionate about the thing that you do, woo, that lights me up. It gets me excited. And I'm like, okay, you're excited, so I'm excited. Now, how do we get people to see the vision of that brand? Like, it's one thing for you to have that energy. It's another thing to be able to capture that into resources. I was just showing somebody this Louise Hay stuff, right? The energy that are in these cards is fantastic, but it goes over into everything that she does. Branding is like incredibly important. And if you, the thing that I want everybody to know is everybody's branded. Everybody. The problem is it good? Because a lot of people have really shitty brands, and they don't even know it. Because the moment it's like, for example, have you ever been to a book signing and you take that book and you're about to sign that book, and then somebody goes, there's an error on page 57. Did you see that? There's always going to be that person that can find something wrong with something.
Yes.
So my job is to create the consistency in the brand and make sure that everything looks right. And I get very territorial over my brands, the people that I look after.
Well, it's because you love everyone. Like, you, in a way, like as soon as you are invested in the experience and the passion, like you're just a loving individual. That's what I love about you.
Yeah. I absolutely. Oh, dog's getting involved too. Yes, I'm very passionate about. If somebody is passionate about that thing, I get passionate about it too. I also I have opinions about people's brands, but I don't mind if they fight me back. But after a certain amount of time, this is one thing I kind of want to get out there. A lot of y'all don't know what's best for you when it comes to the visual aspects of your brand. So you have these opinions of what you like. Like, for example, you'll say, I like pink. And I'm like, honestly, don't give a fuck if you like pink. I don't care about what you like. What does your primary consumer like and need? That's just something I'm really, really passionate about. So,
which I think is something that makes you highly gifted, Adam, because you are in tune with what like you can almost place yourself in the energy of the person looking at your branding, as opposed to simply creating a brand. You're experiencing it from the level of somebody else looking in on it and saying, how does this make me feel?
Right. What I have is a thing called and I hate the word pragmatic, but I have a pragmatic path. You have a client on consumer on one side, you have a customer on the other side, you have you in the middle, and your job is to try and get them from there to there. Now tell me that path. And most of you can't do it. Most of you, when I actually start walking you through that path, you realize, like, they go, I need a website. And I'm like, why? Show me something that proves that you need a website, because I can almost guarantee you that 85% of your customer group, they're not going to your site. Look at you. You're a great example, Tamara. Everybody is finding you on some sort of social solution, right?
Yes.
I mean, you might get some people going to your website to sign up to some of your stuff, or if you've actually sold them through some sort of event or something like that. But your website is like an extended business card, if I had to take a guess.
Yes. No, most of my business in the beginning, especially because I didn't really have a website, and it's something that I let people know, especially in the beginning of a business, you don't even know who you're speaking to. You haven't even created your language. Even if and to be honest, anyone who's listening who has known me for a lot of years, this is, I think I'm on my fifth website, like my fifth branded, like I was a patchwork, a quilt of different people's branding until right before Adam, I signed up for branding, or else, you know what I mean? Like, I am so hook, line, and sinker for how you see the vision of your clients, Adam. Like, it really is exceptional.
I'm very sensitive. I'm very, very sensitive about dollars. And I look at it and I go, okay, we have a limited budget. It's kind of like when you go to buy a present for somebody. Let's say, for example, if I've got $10 and I can buy a present for somebody, I would rather buy a $10 pencil than buy a $10 whatever, something else that's like, you know, get best value for money. I'd rather buy a really expensive one thing than a really cheap thing at the maximum amount of the dollars. So I look at it and I'm like, okay, if someone wants to bury like $3,000 to $5,000 in a website, I'm like, why? I think most people need a landing page. I think 85% of the people are not going to come to your website anyway. I think 15% roughly, most of y'all probably have like an 85, 90% bounce rate. People are going to come to your website. They're going to stay for an average of 3 seconds. They're going to have a seat. So there needs to be some kind of call to action on that opening page. They might scroll down because we are naturally geared to we're scrolling monkeys now. That's all we freaking do. So it's like, okay, so then make a really kick-ass landing page, put some incredible photos of vibrant energy, and then packages here with CTAs all across it. CTAs, call to actions. And yes, maybe you stand a chance. If you honestly think they're going to go clicking on the friggin' stuff at the top and you build this 30-page website, give me a break. They are not going down your website. Because basically what happens is your website is like a really nice house on a remote island, right? And everybody is in the city. The city is LinkedIn, the city is Facebook, and you're asking them to come out and take a look at your house. It ain't gonna happen. They might put some binoculars on and look at it from a distance, which is basically coming from Facebook. They're basically looking through the click-through on Facebook out to your site, and they'll look at it and they'll go, yep, well, all my friends are playing back here, and they'll go straight back into the city. So you're doing a really, really good job because you actually do all of your marketing in the city, which doesn't cost much, if anything. And that's where everybody's hanging out anyway. That's where you become the celebrity. Sorry, you can tell. I'm so passionate about this stuff.
I know, but I'm like, hey, me, I'm like, you know, I feel like I'm, as you did with the, you know, I kind of dropped in the city and was like, I have no idea what I'm doing in the city, but I'm going to learn to be a city girl. And so like, it's all
can't stand wasted dollars.
But
a really nice house on a remote island that no one wants to visit.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Were you always an artist? Did you start off this way when you were a kid?
Yeah, I was definitely, words of affirmation is definitely a love language. I had an art teacher that told me that I'd pretty much never amount to anything. We were never a rich family by any means. We had Lego and play people, but other than that, we basically, my mom used to give me pieces of paper. And the irony is I actually used to start enjoying drawing because I hated math and there were pretty girls in my class that would let me draw on their arms. That's pretty much how I just used to draw little tattoos of people on my arms. And
What
that,
tattoos did little girls in class want? What was your like go-to tattoo?
I had this character called Mark, which is a mouse and rabbit crossed. And I still have pictures of it. And honestly, at some point, I need to do a video because there's a lot of kids out there that, come and do classes with me and things like that to learn how to draw, particularly with digital art. And everybody either wants to just know how to do art and just immediately be good. They don't want to put in any extra time, which the Be Bothered campaign is something I want to talk to you about. Or they just think that, oh, their stuff just doesn't look good. And it's like, yeah, my stuff looked like shit too. It takes, oh my God, it takes 20 years. It takes 30, it takes a lifetime to get good. I still look at my work and I get hang-ups about it. I'm doing a piece right now and I'm like, oh, it doesn't look dimensional enough. Like you're never satisfied. That's the joy of being an artist. You getting it wrong is just as exciting as getting
So
it right.
Mark, your rabbit,
Yeah.
what was it? A cross of a rabbit and a mouse?
Yeah.
He was your go-to tattoo that the girls in your class wanted on their
Wow. Yeah.
So would you personalize, like, no, sorry, I'm really curious about this, Adam. So would you personalize this tattoo for each woman dependent on the woman? Like, did it look the same? Was Mark doing different things for each?
I wasn't that educated. If I had to do Mark today, it would be pretty rude. But no, it was probably just, I don't know, like there's this beautiful, that feeling you get when somebody is teaching you something and they're in close proximity and you just feel this beautiful, like, it's like, it's just this beautiful, your whole body goes, oh, I'm learning and it's from someone nice. And, it's this beautiful feeling. And that's how you used to feel. So like, what kind of rabbit did I draw? I don't actually remember. I just remember that beautiful, oh, I want to do this more because it feels good. Like the human interaction, like touching a girl's arm or something like that, like just that physical connection and stuff.
So that was your introduction into wanting to be an artist?
Yes, that. And then when I went to the newspaper, I worked at a newspaper and there was a guy there who, his name was Elliot, I think. And he was the editor. It was a local newspaper. And I would take my illustrations, I would do these paintings, take them into work and show people. And then I started doing illustrations for the local newspaper. And he really latched onto me for some reason. I don't know why. Great guy. So I was like, so for example, for Christmas, I would have like the front page of the newspaper would have my illustration all matted all over the front logo and stuff like that. They used it for like 5-6 years later.
And that was like, well, you were still in high school, or was that right after?
I dropped out of high school. Once girls, this is way too much for the podcast, but once boobs appeared in school, my grades just plummeted. I mean, I did so bad in school. I mean, yeah.
I actually want to pause for a second because if anyone knows me, I'm a high school dropout too, right? So like,
what girl?
Woo, woo, right? Like there is a level of, just to kind of say this, like it doesn't define, education does not define who you become, like, because
no, it creates the hunger.
Right. It creates a definitive hunger. I didn't want to learn what other people were teaching me. It was a little bit different. Like I was super, super fucking bored in high school geography. I colored. Like there was a level of like, but give me, just like give you those manuals, give me at the time anything to do with the human body. And I will absorb that information just like you will with your craft. Right. So if anyone is listening and they also have been a high school dropout and they're ashamed of that, do not let that be something.
I can give some great perspective on that. So there's this guy I know, I'll leave his name out, but I got the iPad Pro and that's how I started doing digital art. And anyway, he was asking about my story, and they did that documentary. And and I mentioned about my teacher saying horrible things about my artwork. And he said to me, I would have given anything for my teacher at school to tell me I was no good. And I was like, what the heck are you talking about? He goes, well, I have ODD, which I do too, which is opposition.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
He has oppositional defiance disorder. So because this teacher said, you're never going to amount to anything, I've basically had a lifetime of saying, I'll show you. And it's created that hunger. So I don't just go after art. I like charge after it. It's the same with I'm not qualified to do any of this stuff with graphic design, but I'll grease the floor with most of the designers out there. Not that I'm competitive. I just know that I'm really, really good at what I do. And I like to dig deeper. I don't just want to create design or brand for brand's sake. Nothing about what I do is templated. I want to know about you. I want to know about the person. I want to know if it's a fit. Like, I mean, yeah, you and we get along great, but I'm sure there's a bunch of people out there who think I'm a complete asshole. And it's like, I don't want to work with those people. I want to work with the people I vibe with.
Right. Now I want to know more about you. So, you started you did what we call tattoo art, and then you moved into, the newspaper art.
Yes.
And so you are in your late teens at that point?
Yeah, so then I did illustration, and I went to Japan, and my first wife was Japanese. The economy in England was going terribly, so I moved there, and I lived in Japan for 9 years. I was a children's book illustrator, and I started a school. And then I entered the Tokyo 10, which is like a contest within the Tokyo National Museum with this picture right here. And it won Best New Illustrator because it's awesome.
Totally awesome.
And the whole point about this picture is if you actually look at the picture itself, it's actually not that spectacular. But it's got so much detail, and it took 6 months to do. And I'm an endurance person. I like to do things that other people could do, but can't be bothered to do. It's one of the reasons why I walk long distances for working out. It's because y'all could do it. You just don't want to. You can't be bothered. And if you can't be bothered, that's the thing I want to do. And so I was doing all this children's book illustration, and then I got divorced from my first wife. And that's when my pictures started branching into a lot more intimacy and a lot more, there became a lot more boobs in it, a lot more body parts. And then I've got these two totally separate things, because basically when I did it, if you get divorced, it's really painful. It's a horrible experience. And then you've got, who wants to draw a picture of a happy mouse while you're in that much pain? So I would rather draw a picture of separation and struggle and loss, and then you get that relief. Art is, after all, supposed to be, it helps you breathe, right? It's a release. It's a talent that you've been given, and you need to optimize that for whatever purpose.
So would you say that your art then has been exceptional at, being a caretaker or a balancer for emotions throughout the years?
Oh yeah, for all of us. I mean, for example, if you're good at cooking and you're stressed out, go bake a cake. You'll be like, oh, look at you with your writing. I mean, my gosh, when you write something, it's so obvious the relief you get from that writing. And so, yeah, my wife is also a writer. Like, yes, she wrote a book called Locked In or Locked Out, one of the two. And oh my gosh, you can see the release, And so every time I draw something, I'm like getting this thing out of my system, and I feel like therapeutically whole. And obviously, in a perfect world, as time goes on, I hope to make my art my full-time gig. But the problem is, if in today's world, everything is based around money. And if I have to become a commercial artist, and they say, yeah, can you draw me a picture of your dog? I want to be able to say, I'm sorry, but F your dog. I don't want to draw a picture of someone's dog. I want to draw what I want to draw. And because I want to do that, my bill payer is I will do the branding, and I will service other people through that.
Well, and I mean, to me, the way that sounded was like disconnected, but you are so invested in each of those. Like, you aren't somebody that just goes a tippy toe in, Adam. Like, I've never met somebody who, when they...
But also my brands, though. Oh my God, my brands. I'm so invested in the people that I represent. I mean, you and I, like, I wouldn't say, I mean, I barely even known you for 12 weeks. I deeply, deeply care. Like, there's something about I mean, God, look at Matt. Do you know I've only known Matt for a week? Matt Patty?
So yeah, so there's Matthew, Adam did the Shucker Business Academy for Men, the very first one that I ever ran. And he came
Amazing.
down to Niagara, Canada, for a 3-day retreat. And I had a special guest there from Australia, Matthew Patty. He's the one who did the Quantum Playground podcast, that if you've listened to that. So, Adam was introduced to Matthew, and like there's just like these instant chemical reaction connections that can occur. And I talk about it a lot in the intros of introducing podcasts, because it's like this inner knowing, this like instant, like, yes, we are totally meant to be in each other's lives moment.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, what the heck was that? Dude, so when I did my course, just so everybody knows, when I did the course with Tamara, which by the way, everybody, guys, men, you need to do this thing. Like you think, oh, it's all chakra rubbing. It's not. It's incredible. And it's going to change your life in every aspect of your life. And so anyway, we were meeting, and then Matt comes in and he starts talking about, all of these, the quantum fields and all this stuff. And my brain, I had the headache from hell. I mean, it was like right in the corner, big old migraine and everything. And Matt's sympathy level and Tamara's, their sympathy levels was 0. They're like, yeah, no, you don't. No, you don't. And I'm like, oh, I got my abdomen is hurting. Like, no, it's not. And sure enough, as soon as I left them, totally fine. Totally fine. No headache. Driving home, I'm like, what? Headache passed. You are going to get pushed. And that is one thing that I hope that I do with branding. And that's one thing, if you sign up with the course with Tamara, or Tamara, as I like to call her,
I know.
you are going to be pushed so beyond your comfort level. And it feels fantastic.
Yes. And then you were mentioning that, like, even how much you've fallen in love with Matthew in the last week. You've only known him for a week. And it's just like, the level of experience that you bring, Adam, like anyone who's listening to this podcast can already feel your energy. But like, to me, you aren't just, somebody who you meet, Adam. You are somebody that you experience.
Yeah, I'm pretty fucking awesome. I'm kidding. I'm not. I mean, I'm humble at least, right?
Very.
I just think that it's all subjective. Sometimes you're going to meet people you click with, and other times you meet people you don't. And when I know I'm in this really, really active, high vibration state, but it's because I'm bouncing off somebody as beautiful as you. It's because I'm bouncing off Jeff, your husband. I mean, my gosh, if you guys, oh my gosh, he's such an incredible human being.
Okay, but I'm going to ask you a random question here.
Yeah.
How would you define your energy before the Chakra Business Academy?
Safe. Oh, I've got it perfectly. Child support and a dog. I got child support and a dog. And that should be the title of my book. You know it's true. There
was a lot of energy that went into all the reasons why things weren't happening the way they could be happening, or you wanted them to happen. And there was a lot of like, and I think that that's natural for majority of people, because I want to show that, us as humans tend to get caught up in what we feel is the reality of our existence, right? Mm-hmm. So yes, child support feels very real. Having a dog that's old and aging and needs extra support feels very real. Mm-hmm. Paying bills, doing all of the stuff feels very overwhelming and drowning, and, that you can't see above the water.
But it's right up there with my headache and my abdomen hurting. It's not real. And the thing is, it's like, do you want it? It's so funny. I just put out a quote to a client for a job, and they said, oh, well, this is a little bit more than what we were expecting. And I said, okay, well, I want you to be comfortable. And then I immediately went onto Facebook and I said, please reverse what I just said, because I want you to be a little bit uncomfortable. There's something about the magic of being out of your comfort zone. My wife lives in it constantly, which is nice, but it's you can't. I don't want everyone to be comfortable. Look at where comfortable has got you. you're just moseying along, right? It's like, no, I want you to be a little bit out of your zone. Don't, take baby steps. You don't just have to go whoomp, but you need to, let's say, for example, if I'm branding you, I want you out of your comfort zone a little bit. I want you to put enough money in. I did the same thing when I invested with you. I was like, I'm going to put in enough money that I'm like, okay, when this woman talks, I better freaking listen. I've paid enough money to listen to her. So it's like, you push people a little bit. And sure enough, everything starts like manifesting and magnetizing is a great word we use in session today. It starts pulling towards you, and you actually can't stop it. And that's where I'm at right now. I've got people coming to me that I would never have imagined coming to me asking for branding. So it's just, you gotta be ready. You gotta be ready, because
it's a very powerful thing that occurs when you do the work within yourself and realize that that's the work that actually shifts the reality that you see in front of you.
Yes, very much so.
So powerful. But I want to go back to when you came to the States after, you've won all these awards, because I actually want to talk about, because you sent me a very, very beautiful gift, Adam. And, I want to, first of all, I'm going to get it so that
all right.
See it, because I keep it beside me here. Like this.
Oh my God, that's so beautiful.
It's so beautiful for those who are watching on YouTube, but for those that are listening to the podcast.
And it's really good for killing flies.
It's
perfect.
It's a book. But it's a children's book. So tell me the story about how this came into existence.
Okay, so I went to work for an educational software company in Tennessee, and one of my dearest friends actually is a part owner of it. His name's Matt. And he said to me, if you want to make this, he saw the Times of Rhymes and the Valley of Rhyme. And he said, if you want to make that into a book, I will publish it. And so I said, I took him up on the offer. We originally made it 8 by 10. And then we went and did a focus group, and all of these kids, we were trying to let them, read the book. And this one kid goes, oh, I've got a book. And she ran upstairs, and it was in her house. And she came back downstairs, and she had this big nursery rhyme book. And it was not very well drawn, but the size of it was just so majestic. It was undeniable. And she opened it up, and it was like going into a world. And I was like, damn it, I'm going to have to redo this book. So I redid the book 13 by 13 or 12 by 12, whatever it is. And then it got printed in Nashville, Tennessee. We printed 25,000 to get the cost down. And so everything about this book is luxury. So it's a hardcover, it's embossed on the front, it's debossed on the back. The paper, you've never felt paper like this. Like when you guys, you're going to hand this down. I've actually had people contact me saying, I need to buy another book because when my daughter left, she took it with her and now she's reading it to her kids. Mm-hmm. And you can buy it on Amazon. If you're lucky and you find it in the second-hand area, you might get it for a decent price. But if you're trying to buy it new, for some reason, it's like $200. I don't know why. It's become a collector's item. Most of the books are already out there. I have a few left. I'm reluctant to sell them right now because I only have like about 1,000 left. And I'm actually working on the Times of Rhymes, and I want to put the two of them together.
Now, this is what I really want to talk about, because I think this is
bring it on.
This is where it gets really spicy, because we both lean in.
Yeah, I'm getting excited now. Now we're talking about me.
Well, this actually is all about you on some level. You just you're so gifted at sharing how awesome others are. But like where the Times of Rhyme is about, like, this is something that ultimately could change the perception for kids in the world today. And I think
this is going to far surpass. Can I give you my spiel?
You hit us with this.
Okay, so basically the Valley of Rhyme, is the first one, and it's got all rhymes that your parents used to say to you when you were a kid. Hey, diddle diddle, cat and a fiddle, hickory dickory dock. All those 50 rhymes are in there. That's great. So I spent 4 years coming up with 50 rhymes about the times that we live in today. And I'm not good at writing, but I nailed it. And then I made this big picture, and I included all of my friends in it and everything, and it just stayed as a sketch for many, many years. I tried to paint it at one point, but I just lost the enthusiasm for it. But then the iPad Pro happened. And so I decided that I would start to make this picture doing it digitally. I honestly started because I couldn't think about what I wanted to draw. And this was just painting things. It was just coloring in because the picture was already done. So anyway, I contact Tim Cook at Apple, the CEO, and I tell him, hey, I'm about to do this. And he wrote back and he said, good luck. And I was like, that's not Tim Cook. You know, there's no way. That's like a bot, right? And so anyway, I start doing this picture, and a guy contacts me and says, hey, we are at Taylor University, and we heard about you starting this picture. We'd like to make a documentary about what you're doing. And I was like, yeah, all right. And so anyway, sure enough, they came over and they start filming. And I was like, okay, guess I've got to finish this picture then, because they're making a documentary about it. And so I'm drawing and drawing and drawing, and send another thing to Tim Cook, like I'm halfway done kind of thing. It took 10 months to do. I thought it was going to take a year, but it took 10 months. And I sent it to Tim Cook, didn't hear anything back. So I was like, I knew it was a bot kind of thing. So anyway, the documentary comes out and it wins a Student Emmy Award. And I'm like, oh, now I've really got to finish this picture. like, damn it. So 10 months pass. And I finish it, and I send it to Tim Cook, and he said it was simply amazing. And I thought, oh, that's just a bot again. I just thought, you know, Tim Cook probably has people working for him that sent it. So the next day, I get a call from this guy, from the vice president of marketing for iPad. And they said, Tim, our buddy, Tim forwarded what you did. And he said, we just have one question, because, like, how did you do this? Because we weren't aware that the iPad had the capability of doing this. And the truth of the matter is it doesn't. I actually did it in sessions, and I moved it all over into Photoshop. It's a 30 gig file. It's 900 layers. But the thing that I'm trying to get children to understand with the Times of Rhymes, it is a great piece of work. It's 17 feet tall. It's quite something when you see it in real life. It's all about being bothered. I did little bits a lot. And that's what I want to tell. I want to teach kids and adults. You got to get in the game. You've got to make the effort. And if you can't be bothered, there's other people out there that can be, and they are going to be the ones that win. I mean, look at everything that you're doing.
It's small. It's like I always say, small steps every day covers a large distance over time. Right? We can't stand in one place and look to where we want to be and expect to take that big of a jump, right? Like that's impossible. It's impossible in any field, in any action, in anything, right? Like we need to be able to see where we want to go, and just every day, no matter what, if you do one small, even if it's just one thing, you've done something to actually move yourself forward in some way. So I appreciate this, what you're saying.
Jeff Olson. Have you read The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson?
No.
So that's what he basically talks about. Like, for example, if you eat a candy bar or don't eat it, like, does it matter? He's like, it doesn't matter. It's like the slight edge. It's like if you eat a candy bar every single day, it's going to be bad for you. But in the moment, it's like working out. If I work out today or I don't work out, does it matter? Not really. If I eat badly today or don't eat badly today, does it matter? Not really. But if you do it consistently over time, either things are going to get progressively worse or progressively better. And that's basically what happened with this picture. I just kept going and going and going and going. Before you knew it, I was like, holy shit, this is a movement.
I want to actually go back to what the Times of Rhyme, what you're doing with this book. Because I know you kind of gave the story about, you know, the picture of it, and, you know, that the iPad people were like, wow, how did you do this? But what you're doing with these rhymes is revolutionary in terms of how kids see themselves, or what, like, you know, what can happen 100 years from now when people look back. Encapsulated what this season of the earth is going through.
Yes. Oh gosh, you get it. This is great. Yes, it's so important. So for example, Ring a Ring a Rosie is about the Black Death in London. Ring a Ring a Rosie is the whelps on the face. A pocket full of posy is the pus that was in the face from the illness. Ashes, ashes, we're burning all of the bodies. We all fall down. We're all dead. It's a horrific poem. but now we'll sing it in a nursery rhyme in a school. Well, I think there's tons of things about today's times that we live in, all to do with vanity, the disparity of wealth, the disparity of food in this country compared to other countries. You know, we're eating like pigs, and yet, you know, there's people out there that are starving. There's rhymes that I've written, and they're all inside, all these 50 rhymes. There's another one about abortion. There's another one about healthcare. There's another, all these different things are just ice cream flavors, for goodness sake. There's lots of things that are fun too. But it's like 100 years from now, this is why everybody needs to get involved with this book, because 100 years from now, you're going to be able to hand this down, and people are going to be like, wow, people live like this? Like, this is crazy. Like, you were really that attached to that phone? It went with you everywhere? And
is
there's
there one
another
about a phone?
Yes, yeah. So the one with vanity, with the man, it's there's a guy and he's taking a picture of himself, and the rhyme is muscle man, muscle tan, you love you like no one can. Bright white teeth and handsome too. Oh, muscle man, how you love you. And I just think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be good. Like, and don't tell me you don't all have an uncle like that, where you're like, damn, that guy's into himself, right? It's just like, I think it's going to be really, really interesting to see. And there's another one called Boxy, which is about how we all live in these little boxes, and the boxy life and the boxy smiles, and all pretending. There's one where they're taking a selfie, and then the woman's got like a tear in her eye because it's just pretending to be happy. And then the one which I am mostly known for is the jigsaw bit, because about not fitting. So there's another documentary that a friend of mine wants to make called I'm a Jigsaw Bit. So it's about how we don't fit in the world. I don't fit. I'm a jigsaw bit. I'm not made for your puzzle. I'm fine one piece alone at least. I'll stay out of your trouble. And I used to have such connection to that, but somebody I respect told me that I'm not a jigsaw bit, and that, stop smiling, and that I do fit. And I am actually starting to see that, but I still recognize there's a lot of people that don't fit. And I love that they hear that poem and they go, oh, thank God, it's not just me.
Right, but there's a level of it. There is the ones that we're the misfits, we're the rebels, we're, you know, the mystics that we fit with the other rebels and misfits,
Right.
right? Like, so we do fit, but we don't fit in what this, maybe the societal standard. You know, I was just at an event last weekend where it's like, you know, all of us entrepreneurs, it's like, who in the entrepreneurial world really actually felt like they fit in as kids? Mm-hmm. We are the visionaries, the ones that will revolutionize the world, who will bring things to life that nobody else can see. So there is a version of jigsaw bits to me that we are all the jigsaw bits that then come together and fit.
Well, the thing that's wonderful about what you just said there is, yes, there's a market for both.
Yes.
So, for example, Marlon Jackson, who's one of my clients with the Fight for Life Foundation, he was an NFL player. So everything he does is about team. Well, my thing is, I'm like, so that's Marlon taking care of these people. And a lot of the events that he does are team orientated. Me, I'm at that event going, all right, where's the scragglers? Where are they at? Where's the ones that don't? Where's my photographers? Where's my illustrators? Because these people are taken care of. So yes, there's a place for all of us. And I love going after all these people. I guess the great analogy is, I don't want to be in a band. I don't want to be like the drummer. I don't want to be the person doing this.
Yeah.
Right. But I do want to be able to find other people. And then when I find somebody who's an amazing illustrator, I'm like, okay, if you finish your picture, do you want to talk to anyone? No. Do you want to meet anyone? No. Okay, how are you going to get it out then? I need a photographer. All right, let's find a photographer. All right, hello, photographer person that doesn't want to meet and be with anyone also. You got a logo? Right? And we put these people together. And I'm actually supposed to be meeting with a mother and her son pretty soon. And she said, like, my son wants to be an illustrator and doesn't know where to go. And he doesn't fit. He's that jigsaw bit. And I'm like, all right, let's get him in the game. Like, so I like finding the stragglers. They're fun.
There are people, right? Like,
yes, absolutely.
Right. So there is a level where we see ourselves as being those people who don't fit in, but then we realize that there is just the same, a lovely group of people who don't fit in.
Like, right.
Fit in with no the people who don't fit in.
Yes. Yeah, they have no desire to.
So where is the level of Times of Rhyme? Where's that at right now? What
So obviously, getting that thing published is, financially is going to be quite an investment. Not to mention the story behind, you can't just put it out there. I did that with the Valley of Rhyme, and it took a long time for us to get rid of those 25,000 books. I want to have a mission behind it. And so I would like to find, in my perfect world, if we're talking about my perfect world, I would like to find 100 people that want to give me $1,000, that would want to get this thing, because I want them to be a part of it. I actually have a part in the book, which is also completed, by the way, where they will, their names can be in that book, where they can say, we were a part of this first printing, and I am going to give them 10 books, and they're going to give it out to people and go, okay, remember, this is our history. This is important. And I was around in this time. I'm going to give this to my grandkids. I'm going to give this to my kids, and then it's going to siphon on down. So the Times of Rhymes is not really something that I need to be remembered for. Like, who wrote Humpty Dumpty? I don't know. No one. Like, who cares? Like, I want that to be the Times of Rhymes for me. I don't want to be all that Adam Parsons guy. Now, that's different when it comes to the Love Garden, and that's something we might talk about. That it's different to do with my personal art. I would like to be known for that, because I believe that that's where my true heart is at. But the Times of Rhymes is more of it's for everybody else. And there's other books that I want to do too. So a lot of that comes down to funding. It's going to happen regardless. Like, even if I have to fund it
100
myself.
people at $1,000 is not even that insane.
The bottom line is, could I fund it myself? Yeah, I could probably find a way to do it, but I don't want to. I want to find other people.
Do it together.
It's such an honor to be a part of. Like, it's a big freaking deal. I'm telling you. Like, I'll have to find a picture for it. If you see this sucker on a wall, it's something else.
So, like, if I were to say, like, I'm like, oh, imagine every listener. So, like, if I gave $1,000, and then every listener that connects with this story gave $1,000, like, I'm almost like, I want to start a mission with this podcast to see how, like, about creating that with you.
The other thing that's amazing is it's bigger than, so I've got these 50 rhymes that I've made. But the thing is, when you put a child in front of that picture and they start dreaming, oh my gosh, they start coming up with new stories that you haven't come up with. They start drawing themselves. The one event that I put on with a friend of mine, a coach at the time, her name is Carla Taylor, and she actually did these big blackboards and had people writing and drawing and creating for themselves. And that's the thing. That's the explosion. When kids see this work, they're like, oh, by the way, not just when kids see it, when adults see it, they get involved. That inner child comes out and they start drawing pictures, and you're like, oh, this is so much bigger than me. Like.
So I'm going to say, like, if I give you $1,000 to start this off, I'm in the book, like, my name's in the book, like, yes. I'm in Times of Rhyme, done.
Yes. There's now the book is actually completely completed. And when we're finished with this interview, I will show you. There's only about a handful of people. I've been very careful to not release it yet, but it's completely done. Cover, everything. And I'm just not ready to show the world yet. Like, I usually just like, blah, just like throw everything out. And this is just this one thing that I'm just like, not ready.
Because you're waiting for the investment to market it properly to get it out right.
And because I want to go to schools, it's got a bigger purpose. So for example, the Carmel Library wants to put this full-size 17-foot picture up there, which is in their library. They're doing what do you call it? The renovation. The renovation is 2 years, but they've already said they want to do it. I was in the local newspaper with this piece, but I want to be able to go to put the piece up and then go to schools and say, okay, rather than me saying to them, this is what's in the picture, I want to say to the kids, all right, here's the picture, now make some stories up and have them dream, make them dream. And then the other thing I've done is I've gone in and I've taught kids how to do digital art. That's really thrilling too. Because, a lot of people see them on these devices and they're like, get off that machine. But now they can go, my kid's creating. It's just like, I feel like everything that I do in this space is very addictive, not just addictive for kids, but addictive for adults too. I can get y'all. It's so funny. I did a class on teaching kids digital art And halfway through the class, I realized all the parents have pulled out their phones and they're doing it too. Like, it's one of those things you just can't, like, creating, man. It's where it's at.
Because like you truly aren't just an artist, Adam. You're not just a branding specialist. You're not just like, you are an experience. You are truly
I am.
about,
I'm a really good teacher too.
Right?
The thing is, there's tons, just so because I sound really cocky, okay? There's tons of stuff I'm really shitty at. But I am really, really good at my job, and I'm really good at making people feel motivated and that they can do something. I don't know why I give off that energy, but I'm grateful for it.
But when at the end of the day, you're on your deathbed and, you do want to be remembered for one thing. If you could pick one thing to be remembered for, what would it be?
The Love Garden.
The Love Garden, which I'm going to have you on to another podcast, obviously, Absolutely. to even touch on that portion of who you are and what that is. And
just saying that. Thank you for that. Just being that, just that question and holding that just makes my heart feel like I have a literal moment when it's being filmed. When I see that footage, I'll be like, all right, whatever, Big G, you can take me now. Like, I'm like, there's just, oh gosh, the Love Garden is everything.
I know, and I want to be able to give it its full explanation and why and the story and all that. And I'm like, Absolutely. Can we get that in 5 minutes? No. Yeah. No, we can't. So that will definitely be Adam Parsons Comes Back on the Own Your Intuitive.
I would love that.
But like, if somebody is listening right now and they're like, I don't have a creative side, or I haven't felt my creative side or been connected to that part of me in a really long time. What would you say to them? Like, what would be your words of advice or guidance for somebody?
You're wrong. You're totally wrong. Oh, this is great. So everybody has a creative side. This is the documentary. If you want to go onto YouTube and put in Taylor University, Adam Parsons, illustrator, or something like that.
We'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, you can probably find it. So at the very end, there's this part. They filmed it really well. They can get me all teared up. So there's at the end of the documentary basically says there's a lot of fishermen in Vegas. Okay, by fishermen in Vegas, it means if you are a fisherman and I put you in Vegas, you are not going to be able to do the thing that you're supposed to do. There's no water there. You cannot fish. And the problem is that we find that there's a lot of people that are fishermen in Vegas. I am just very, very fortunate. I am a fisherman that found fish, right? And so when somebody says, I don't have that gift or I'm not creative, I mean, fine, but that's total horseshit. It's just that you haven't got you're not, like, for example, how are you supposed to find that you are good at doing pottery if you don't own clay or a wheel, right? Everybody has that thing. And we just need to find a way to lead you toward it. We just need to find you to be bothered. That's the big thing. If you want to sit down and anything that you do a lot of, you get really, really good at. Anything that you put the 10,000 hours in. The problem is a lot of people want to put 10,000 hours into watching Netflix and playing computer games or scanning Facebook, right? So guess what? You know everything about Facebook. You're really good at knowing what's good with the new seasons of Netflix and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, it's
sidebar story here is that when I was coming out of depression with my son, and I was playing a lot of games on my phone, but I was also on Facebook a lot. There came a point when I looked at my phone and I said, okay, if I'm on Facebook this much, there's got to be a way that I can create a business doing what I am spending my time doing. And I actually built my business on Facebook because that is the place that I was spending most of my time. I switched from being, putting my energy into it to bringing energy out of it for me.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I actually just be careful. I mean, in my view, Instagram is one of those ones you get really addicted to, but just know it rates how it feeds you. If you feed it, it will feed you back. If you leave it alone, you're going to lose people. It's so funny because in the past year, I've had so many people like all of my work, and I finished the Times of Rhymes and my following doubled. And between that whole year of me putting up so many more pictures, guess how many people I've gained?
How many?
I've lost 40. And so because I don't consistently post, because I don't consistently feed that animal, just know that, I mean, It's a commodity. They
It
are
is
looking.
consistency, but that's again that small step. Like, from a level of building a business and a brand, I am consistent on my social media platforms because that is, I always say we date our clients, right? Like you're
Mhm.
dating, you're like saying, when can I see you again every time you post? And
Right.
that's a story of like when my husband and I started dating, and at the end of every date, he would say, when can I see you again? It took my fear away when I went in the house. It took my worry away. If somebody's saying, when can I see you again? I went in there without playing any games. Like it was
When
just
will
so
I see
safe and
you again?
wonderful, right? But in a level of business, just
Yeah.
by showing up consistently, that's what I feel like we do for the people who need us. We're saying, when can I see you again? They always know that we're there for them.
Right.
They always know they can come to us. And speaking
Yes.
about
Well, you're
that,
actually pretty remarkable at doing it too, though. If we just keep it, I mean, you've definitely got it down. I started doing some videos, but like I want it. Sometimes I want to be on, other times I want to be off. Like I have to pace myself because it can really become a full-time thing for me. Like I
yeah,
can get very absorbed into it. You're very good at I mean, heck, man, that's part of the
thank
reason how I
you.
found you.
But speaking about like people finding you, where would people go to learn more about your branding, learn more about Adam Parsons? Like, how do
Yeah.
they find you?
Okay, so the best thing to do is to go to adamparsonsart.com. That's a great way of finding everything that I do. From the branding standpoint, you could go to the moldagency.com. But I mean, honestly, if you just go to adamparsonsart.com, you'll be able to get to mold from there. But the best thing is if you go onto anything, social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, doesn't really make any difference. At Adam Parsons Art will find me for everything.
Amazing. And one last question, Adam. I know that you said that, not much of a book reader, you're more of a manual reader, but
Mhm.
has there ever been a book that kind of shifted you or transformed you, just one that you could impart your wisdom on in terms of this
Can we
book
do
matters?
audiobooks?
Yeah.
Um, Eckhart Tolle, is it? A
Yep.
New Earth?
A New Earth.
That book made me understand so much. I mean, it's kind of up there with you and with Matt Patty. It's like one of those, holy crap, man! Like that book made me understand the curve. I could see the curvature in the world, and I've definitely listened to that book a good dozen times or so.
Well,
Um,
that's one no one's ever said. So I'm super excited. And it's funny because I think I own that one, but I've read The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle.
do you have the audiobook?
No, because I don't listen to audio. As an
Uh,
author, I'm like ooh, just give me the like
yeah. Everything you're
tactile,
saying is
hold
like
the
the
book.
opposite to me.
Oh, I know.
I
I
know.
love the smell of books. I love like the feel of books. Like
Yeah.
kiss a book. Like I just love the book.
Well, New
It's
Earth is you're going to be sitting there going, right from the get go. It's like, I mean, actually, Eckhart Tolle actually reads it in
yes,
that soothing voice. Just, I have to walk while I do it, otherwise I'll fall asleep. Yeah.
I love this. Adam, thank you so much for
Thank you
coming
for having me. I love
on
you.
the
Thank you so
podcast. I
much.
love you. This has been
Yeah.
exceptional. I am so grateful that you are in my life and that,
Likewise.
we get to
I mean,
share
we're
this.
both so cute. I mean, it's like,
We are totally so
yeah,
cute. This is amazing.
bound to
Well worth watching on YouTube, everybody. Okay, have a great day, all listeners, and I'll be back next week with another incredible story and human.